Mr. Hefner, I'll be back with the party in a second. Private party, Chris. Oh, hi, you're taping. Sorry, I didn't see that. Yes, hi.
You're very close to this hallway. I figured we'd do a very personal interview here.
Oh, excellent. That'd be great. That'd be super.
Okay. Well, I figured I'd start off with something. Your magic is all very creative, and I'm a big fan of pretty much everything you do. A lot of your work actually goes into my act. Do you strive for creativity, and if so, how do you do so when you're creating magic?
Yeah, I mean, as individuals, the only thing we've got is ourselves. If you're starting to do the stuff like everybody else does it, then, you know, how are you setting yourself apart from your competition? And so the object is to put your spin on things. You're not necessarily going to be able to create something new, because I don't even create a lot of new stuff, but I love putting my own spin on things.
He comes walking up and you just leave.
Yeah, we got people spying on us.
Do you have any tips for becoming more creative?
Wow, that's a good question. I mean, the best thing to do is to be able to take something that you want to do and say, how can I put my personal spin on it? How can I do this differently? The best thing to do is to script it. Start with your character, figure out what your character is going to be like. Mine is sort of an amplified version of myself, but it's a little more goofy. He doesn't understand how the world works. And so I try to write for that character, and you'll find that it's going to come out a little differently than if you say, well, I'm just going to do it as the instructions are with the trick. Now, I almost never look at the instructions that come with a trick just because I want to, unless it's just the mechanics or helpful tips and things. But I tend to not look at the pattern, their flow of the story. I want to create something myself that my character would do, because my character is not going to do a lot of the things, at least a lot of the things in the same way that somebody else's character is. And so as soon as you get your character development down, and then you start the scripting, the rest of it just kind of falls into place. So.
When you're doing your act, because I know you still work regularly down in Florida, which is I believe where you live now.
Yep.
When you work regularly, what's your favorite venue to work, and why?
Boy, you know, this is going to be a rough answer, because I'd love to say, well, you know, the very high, Hef, I'll be there. Hang on, dude, guys, patient. I like the high corporate parties, you know, the high-paying ones, but I also love restaurant magic. I love being able to walk up to a table of complete strangers and trying to ingratiate myself to them, because that's a scary thing, to walk up to people who don't know you, don't know why you're there, and just try to invade their personal space. And that can be a real scary thing, but that kind of energizes me. I just really enjoy that sort of thing. So I don't really have a favorite venue. I'd say my least favorite venue would be summer company parties that are outdoors. I hate doing the outdoor parties, because your cards stick together and the wind blows all your stuff over, and you know, I've never been a big fan of that. So those of you who do outdoor company parties, go for it, because I have a lot of respect for people who will put up with, you know, airplanes going over and kids screaming and that type of thing. So
there's got to be a trick you could do with the screaming kids in the airplanes. But
yeah, I usually do screaming kid to airplanes. It's going to be in my next lecture notes, which are entitled Stuff That Violates My Parole, but I do anyway because it gets such a good reaction.
You should do Miracles for Mortals 3.
Yeah.
By the way, Miracles for Mortals is a great DVD set. If you guys haven't checked it out, you should check it out, like right now in the search bar. But anyway, back on topic. Miracles for Mortals. When you did the material for that set, is that just a compilation of everything you worked on? You performed for years and years and years, or?
Oh, it's stuff I'm still doing. It's right out of my working repertoire. A lot of it is from restaurant, and some of it's from my parlor act, but it's all stuff that I do all the time, and so I'm really in love with the stuff. In fact, I'm going to be working with Cosmo on some more stuff that's from my lecture notes that didn't make it into the first 2 volumes of that, and we're going to come up with some
So we're talking new Geoff products?
New Geoff products. Yeah, I got a new one out actually. It's called Cupie, which is a quarter and pen kind of thing, which is really fun.
That's very cool. You mentioned that you worked both restaurants and corporate parties. Do you? Because I know your sense of comedy is very, very energetic and is very Geoff Williams. It's hard to describe. There's really no way to describe it unless you've seen you perform. Do you tone it down at all for when you're doing like a high-end corporate party? You're wearing a suit and all that.
This is my dad. Yeah. important. Do I tone it down? Yes, I do. I have to tone it down somewhat because my internal, anxiety and stuff is kind of like a ferret on crack. And so I kind of have to bring that down a little bit so that people can understand me. Otherwise,
please talk somewhere else.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
Yes. When I have girls, they're having their little thing.
We can step outside.
Yeah, so we're going to step outside for a little bit. So you can pause, go to the bathroom. We'll be right back. Sorry.
Back to the interview.
Yep.
I don't even remember what. Something about comedy sense.
Yeah, comedy. I'm not real familiar. That was comedy time. I was doing comedy clubs for a while. I did comedy before I did magic, and I majored in theater at the university, and so consequently my stagecraft was before the magic stuff, and it turns out that stagecraft is harder than magic. So you go to school, get into plays, do community theater stuff, and get some real good stage time, and you'll find that that is going to help a lot with the.
It's an appearing dude.
It's my dad. He's checking on me.
I keep coming up with great questions.
Yeah, sorry. So as far as comedy goes, I recommend that there's a great book that's by Mike Bent on comedy, and it's wonderful. You can get it at like a Barnes and Noble sort of. They still open? They all closed?
I think so.
They may have all closed by now because it's almost noon. So I recommend looking that one up. I'm not even sure the name of it, but it was wonderful. And there are some other good books on comedy that you can get for free from the library. Which is a place where you can actually, they'll let you take them home, which is kind of fun. Put that anywhere.
Do you think people are inherently funny? Do you think magicians who want to be funny but have never been able to do it can do it, or do you think you have to be born with something?
You know, it really helps if people roll things by while you're talking. Sorry, it's just making a delivery. I ordered some stuff, so it's from Collector's Workshop. So it's the hi. Yeah, just go ahead and put that in the room. It's really cool. It's a coin trick, which is I think a big waste of money, but it's Collector's Workshop. So what am I going to do, right?
See if we can wrap this up here.
Okay.
What tips do you have, as a final question, what tips do you have for someone who wants to be funnier?
Try to look at the funny side of everything. When you're actually explaining a joke or telling a joke, don't actually explain it. Don't explain the punchline. When you do the punchline, there should be some figuring out that happens in the audience's mind. They need to be able to do that kind of thing.
Excuse me.
He's a chiropractor. That had to hurt. I don't really look at anything with a serious type of, angle. So for me, I'm always. Sorry, how's it going? So I'm always looking at things with a funny view, and that can be really annoying for most people who are around me. But for me, it's like a sense of material. I recommend having a little tape recorder in your car with you wherever you go, and just record into it. If you got an iPhone or most phones, you can record into those. If you come up with a funny thought, don't let it get away. That's even in the middle of your show. Let your audience write your material for you, because they'll say if somebody in the audience says something extremely funny about your show or to you in it, and the audience responds in a huge way, remember that. That's a funny thing. Study comedians who are successful that you like. So Jerry Seinfeld, Emo Phillips, you go back to Mitch Hedberg. Take a look and deconstruct the joke and say, what was funny about the joke? Why did it catch me off guard? And when you start analyzing comedy in a real serious way, be serious about your being funny, you'll actually find the essence of comedy, and then you can take that and say, okay, now I want to write this particular joke. I want to be able to craft this. I'm not getting the laugh that I think I should get. And then use your laughs as your secret move stuff, because when people's brains are busy laughing or hemorrhaging or whatever, they're not going to be able to see the secret move, because the brain is going to do that. So highly recommend using comedy as misdirection. And find people who you admire.
Not just in magic, but just who you really, really like, who do comedy the way you really, really like it done. Don't steal their jokes. Don't even steal the way they do them, but figure out why the joke works for them. And it's usually because it's their character and because the joke is crafted well. And look at how you can do that for your character. And just have fun. If you have a lot of fun, the audience is going to have fun. And it's not about the magic, and it's not about you, it's about the audience. They need to have a good time. If they're having a good time, it's like Tom Mullica was a huge influence on me. Didn't matter if he ever found the 3 cards he had selected. You enjoyed the ride along the way. And that's really what it's about for a comedy magician. So if you want to do that, seek out more people who do comedy, study them. I mean, analyze it. If you're really serious about it, you'll actually start figuring things out. And there's some great books on comedy, so I recommend those.
Well, thank you very much for doing this interview for Penguin Magic.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
And thank you also for the best locations ever for these ideas.
Well, you know, here in the south of France, we're in this, maybe the north of France. I don't really know, but it's France. And that's what I like. It's French. You can probably tell. Anyway, my name's Geoff, and yours probably isn't.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.